The Flight 302 Incident. It was a cold night. The sky was covered in heavy clouds, and a sharp wind howled across the runway. Flight 302, a Boeing 777, was preparing for its long journey from London to New York. Inside, nearly 280 passengers had already taken their seats. Some were quietly reading books, others were watching films, and many had drifted off to sleep. The cabin glowed with dim, soothing light. Among the crew was Claire Mitchell, a junior flight attendant. It was her very first long-haul international duty. She felt a mix of nervousness and excitement as she pushed her trolley down the aisle. Everything seemed normal, but something in the air felt strangely different. Cabin crew exchanged quick, uneasy glances. Normally, a flight carried the faint sound of laughter, conversations, or children's voices, but this time there was an unnatural silence, broken only by the steady hum of the engines. The air felt unusually cold. Though the cabin temperature was set normally, a few passengers pulled their jackets tighter. One of the senior attendants leaned close to Claire and whispered, "This flight, it doesn't feel like the others, does it?" Claire forced a smile, but inside a quiet unease began to grow. Hours later, the cabin lights had been dimmed. Most passengers were asleep. A heavy stillness spread through the air. As Claire walked down the aisle, she froze. A man was approaching her, calmly, almost elegantly. He wore a sharp, dark suit, but his shoes looked wet, as if he had just stepped out of the rain. His presence carried with it a biting chill. Stopping in front of her, he spoke softly, his voice gentle but hollow. "Please, bring a glass of water for my wife. She's seated at 27A." Claire blinked, startled. His eyes looked oddly empty, yet his words were polite. She nodded quickly, turned and fetched a glass of water. When she reached seat 27A, she found a woman staring blankly out the window. She was wrapped tightly in a woolen shawl, her posture withdrawn, her face pale with sorrow. Claire gently offered the glass. "Ma'am, here is the water you requested." The woman turned confused. Her tired eyes narrowed. "Water? I didn't ask for any." Claire hesitated. "Perhaps you forgot. Your husband asked me to bring this for you." The woman's expression changed instantly. Her face drained of color. Her hands trembled as she reached into her bag, pulling out her phone, unlocking it with shaking fingers, and opening a photo and held it up. "Was it him?" Claire's breath caught. "Yes, that's exactly him. That's who I saw." The woman's lips quivered. Her voice was barely a whisper. "That's my husband. But he died 2 weeks ago." Claire spun around, scanning the aisle, but the suited man was gone. Only dim light and silence remained. A passenger stirred in their sleep. Someone coughed faintly. The man had vanished, as if he had never been there. Yet Claire could still hear his soft words echoing in her ears. "Please, bring water for my wife." Later, while refilling water glasses in the galley, Claire's eyes drifted to a small mirror fixed to the wall. Her heart skipped a beat. Behind her reflection, a tall shadow loomed. She spun around instantly. No one. Turning back, the shadow was gone. Soon other passengers began reporting strange things. A middle-aged man beckoned Claire urgently. "Excuse me, miss, I just saw someone walking down the aisle, but when I looked again, there was nobody." A younger passenger complained, "Why are the cabin lights flickering? Is this some kind of technical fault?" A woman whispered nervously, "Something touched my shoulder, but when I looked back, no one was there." The atmosphere grew heavier. Quiet murmurs spread. Fear and curiosity stirred among the passengers. One of Claire's colleagues leaned close and whispered, "This flight isn't normal. There's something here, but we need to stay calm." Claire nodded faintly, though her chest tightened with dread. Finally, she couldn't hold back any longer. She marched to the cockpit, knocked, and stepped in with trembling hands. "Captain, something's wrong. Passengers are seeing things. I saw someone myself. This isn't normal." The pilot exhaled slowly, as if he had expected this. "Miss Mitchell, there's something you should know. This aircraft's cargo hold is carrying a coffin. A middle-aged man. He died in London, and his body is being transported to New York." Claire's eyes widened. "A body?" The captain nodded. "Strange things happen on flights like these sometimes, but we must stay professional. The passengers must never know." Back in the cabin, Claire tried to calm the anxious faces. "Ladies and gentlemen, everything is absolutely fine. There's no technical issue. Sometimes during long flights, it's natural to feel uneasy. Please try to relax." Gradually, the whispers died down. The hum of the engines filled the silence once more. Quietly, Claire walked back to seat 27A. The woman in the shawl sat motionless, her eyes heavy with sorrow. She leaned closer. "Ma'am, is it true? Is your husband's body in the cargo hold below?" Her voice breaking, she lowered her gaze. "Yes, he died suddenly, and ever since I've often felt as though he never truly left. Some say his death wasn't natural, that perhaps it was cursed." Claire swallowed hard. "And tonight, do you feel he is here?" The woman gave a faint, bitter smile. "Yes, and what the passengers sensed tonight, I've felt many times before. But don't be afraid. He won't hurt anyone. He just lingers." Hours later, the Boeing 777 descended toward New York. The city lights twinkled beneath the clouds as the plane touched down smoothly. Passengers disembarked, safe and relieved. As the widow stepped off, she cast Claire a quiet, grateful glance, as if to say, "Thank you. Let the story end here." Claire stood at the cabin door, watching the night sky beyond the runway. Her heart was heavy, yet strangely calm. Some secrets, she realized, don't rest on the ground. They drift in the air between earth and sky, waiting for someone to notice.